Cozy witch games have made me less scared of gnarled old hags living in the woods. I'm Will, and this is a quick review of Mika and the Witch's Mountain. I first came across this game while digging through the indie game hashtag and saw it compared to Kiki's delivery service. I'm a fan of Studio Ghibli, but Kiki didn't leave the biggest impression on me. If I had to describe what I remember about it, I'd say it's a slice-of-life magical realism story about a witch who tries to make her way in the world by opening a delivery service. As Kiki learns about the challenges of being a professional magic postman, both professionally and socially, the reality begins to weigh her down to the point where the magic literally starts to go out of her life. This leads to a bit of a downer period, until she pulls herself out of it, accepts her role in society, and realizes that not even magic can fix everything. So, can Mika capture some of that same feeling? After playing it, I think it kind of does. The curtain rises on a young witch named Mika, who journeys to the top of a mountain to learn how to do magic properly from a grand old witch mentor. After making a poor first impression, Mika grabs her broom to prove herself, and the mentor kicks her off the mountain, quite literally. As she falls, Mika gets her mission to crawl her way back up to the top. But her broom is broken, and she needs money to get it fixed. Luckily, a nearby craftswoman fixes it up and starts a tab for Mika, who finds work at the local delivery company, which conveniently has an opening. Armed with grown-up responsibilities, a town full of kind strangers, and a broom of potential, Mika's adventure can finally begin. It's a short game with a basic plot. If you focus on just following the story, you'll hit all the beats in a matter of hours. Or less than that if you're not me. Things progress normally as Mika grows up throughout what seems like a couple of days, as her job caused her to cross paths with all of the most important characters at least once, some of them being more memorable than others, if only because they look weirder. Mika does go through some shit, but it's nothing intense enough to make you cry, and believe me, I tried. The music tries to have that whimsical but still ambient nature to it, but it doesn't always come through clearly. It's quiet enough to begin with, but then will cut out during area transitions and take forever to come back. It also doesn't help that there are little to no sound effects in even the busiest areas. The biggest benefit of speeding through the story missions is that it means your broom will be upgraded faster. And speaking of, Mika and the Witch's Mountain is a 3D open-world platforming game set on a small island with a surprisingly diverse ecosystem. Even though Mika is capable of running, jumping, and carrying a stack of objects, your main way of getting around will be on your broomstick. No matter what model of broom you have, you can't freely fly through the sky. Rather, Mika needs to periodically touch down on solid objects to launch herself back up into the air and ride the broom temporarily before coming back down. While exploring, Mika will be tasked with collecting different items and getting them to their rightful owners. She can carry up to several objects at once, and they will have differing amounts of fragility. So, you'll spend most of your time in spurts of flying about, collecting objects, and taking them to where they need to be, which in turn progresses the story. There's an emphasis on exploration since most deliveries have no time limit, so you can travel around the island, discovering new places, collecting collectibles, and activating elements, like shortcuts, ramps, and boosters, that can help Mika get around better. The map is fun to explore, but at times you find yourself pondering the paradox that is a map that feels too small, and yet too big at the same time. Most of the world is just set pieces that don't pop as much as they could in a game that looks light and colorful. Much of the environment looks a bit lackluster too compared to some of the characters, and other objects look like they're missing some shading. The two most notable collectibles are smiling baby statues that you can trade for cosmetics like new outfits and magic charms, and tarot cards, locked inside giant stone pots that Mika must break with terminal velocity. You can also find magic trails for your broom that don't do anything, but at least some of them are pretty. This could be a great environment to fly around freely, but it's also nice to have some direction now and then. This came right out of the witch's hut with the colorful and cozy labels for obvious reasons. Mika can't die, there's no way to get a game over, the story progresses when you want it to, and most of the deliveries can be done at your leisure. With that in mind, the main challenge that you and Mika are facing is being efficient delivery people. As such, your biggest obstacle is your ability to deliver packages safely. I mentioned fragility before because it's the defining stat of each package, clearly indicated by hearts. Whenever Mika crashes into something solid like a rock, a wall, or a large citizen, the packages that she's currently carrying will take damage. If they take too much, you'll have to respawn them at their starting point and head back to get them. There's an additional danger in that some packages can't get wet, which can be difficult on a small island with lots of water features. Finally, specific packages will come with a time limit requiring you to get them to their destination tutti sweet. Lastly, there are cryptic puzzles and elements around the island that need certain objects to activate, which you'll have to scour the island to find. Another big hurdle is how the broom handles. Boom! You start off with a piece of junk that can barely keep you airborne, and gradually get better brooms as you complete missions and earn money to pay for upgrades. The broom does get better, flying farther and giving you chances to boost in the air, but sadly you'll never be free flying. The main story is short, and soon you'll find yourself at the very top with nothing to do but to clean up all the optional stuff. And yet, you're still restricted to a slow descent thanks to broom mechanics. A post-game mode with a broom that can fly freely up and down would be a welcome reward in a game where flying a broom is the main thing to do. It'd be less of a problem if you could fast travel between high points and then slowly fly around, but apparently that's one type of magic that doesn't exist in this witchy world. Still, it gives you more time to enjoy the relaxing scenery. It's fitting that getting to the top of the mountain allows you to see everything that Mika and the Witch's Mountain has to offer. If they were going for a feeling similar to that in Kiki's Delivery Service, they succeeded in some places. It's a slice-of-life game about a little witch just trying to do her best and make her way in the world. The more she works, the more she grows, and the more she realizes that the world isn't as magical as she thought it would be. Mika is a magical being who is being crushed by reality, by one of the most relatable processes: a minimum wage job. Mika's just a kid, and life isn't exactly a nightmare, but she does deal with some pretty nightmarish customers. They can be ungrateful and mean, but because of those encounters, you're pushed even more to fly around the island, take in the lovely scenery, and relax. The more you do that, the more likely you are to notice things out of the ordinary calling to be investigated. It's a short, sweet, and calming game that you can enjoy over a chill weekend with a cup of something warm. The biggest downside by far is that for a game in which you fly around on a broom, there's very little to actually see and do as you fly around. Mika and the Witch's Mountain is practically begging for more post-game content, or simply just more places to go. But there is hope. Recently, a massive update was released for all versions of the game, adding fixes and expanding it as a whole. So now I'm wondering what kind of new misadventures are in store for Mika. Maybe she'll have to contend with an even bigger delivery company, littering the surrounding waters with entire islands full of warehouses, legions of overworked and underpaid staff, and a name connected to a specific geographical location. Or maybe they'll just bring in Joja Mart. Hey there! Wow, you are actually here at the end of the video. Thanks for that. Thanks for sticking with me. If you wanna see more videos, then hey, you can subscribe, and when a new video comes out, you will be notified. Also, if you enjoyed this video, then hey, why don't you give it a little like there? And hey, if there's something even more that you liked about it, or if you just have some feedback or advice, or just wanna type a bunch of random words, then hey, why don't you leave a comment? I will try to read it. I'm pretty sure I can manage that. All right, see you next time.